The other thing that I had to do for an applique stitch is to lower my upper tension. So if normal was at 4, if I bring it down to 2 so that the top of my applique work is nice and rounded and pretty, indeed, if I lower the top, it's going to get pulled to the bottom. But on an applique stitch, this is what you want. You don't want a balanced stitch. You don't want to have to wind a bobbin of every different color that you're going to use on the top. Let's say you were doing a pumpkin and you want to go all around the outside and it's orange. You don't want to have to wind an orange bobbin and a brown bobbin. You just want one color bobbin in it all the time. But believe me, on decorative stitching, you want to see the top thread pulled to the bottom, with no chance of that bobbin thread coming up to the top. So do you recall when I said a sewing machine doesn't have eyes or feelers? Think of the feelers in coordination with the fabric that you're using. Look how different the stitch width looks like on a woven versus a knit fabric. Do you see this is a woven fabric? Do you see how wide it looks? Same width, 5.0, changing nothing. Look how narrow it looks on a knit fabric. Isn't that amazing? So you must test your stitch on the fabric with stabilizer, how many layers, everything that you're going to be sewing on your garment or on your project in order to get the very best tension setting that is good for that project. Let's even talk about buttonholes, tension on buttonholes. I did some tests for you here. This is a default buttonhole, so these are the settings that just come up when you set your sewing machine. Most of the machines these days are computerized, and I'll talk more about that in my video on how to choose a sewing machine. But that being said, the default settings for the buttonhole were 0.4 stitch length, 5.5 stitch width, and 4.0 tension. This is the buttonhole that I got. When I changed just the tension to 2.4, it looks like this. And when I changed then just the stitch length, so I left the tension and I just changed the stitch length to 0.2 instead of 0.4, do you see how it squeezed the stitches together? To me, I think this is the best looking buttonhole. This one is okay, but this one is even better than this one. So in general, just understand that a buttonhole is really a satin stitch, so generally you want to lower your upper tension on a buttonhole. Take yourself back to 8th grade science and realize that you're conducting an experiment. You need to change just one factor at a time. So notice here I just changed the tension. Here I left the tension what I had it set here and changed just the stitch length. So only manipulate one thing at a time in order to figure out the very best tension for whatever stitch it is that you are doing.